Hello guys, welcome back again to another tutorial. My name is Dorothy. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to draft this beautiful off-shoulder straight dress with this trending drape off-shoulder sleeve. I made this dress for an Ashobi group, so if you're looking for something easy to sew for a wedding, then this tutorial is for you. So without wasting much of your time, let's get right into the video. These are the fabric that I'll be needing for this tutorial. I have this sample lace fabric, and what I'm having here is 2 yard, and I also have this bridal satin, and what I'm having here is 2 yard as well, and also a lining. This lining piece is 1 yard, so I'm just going to drop all the fabric in one corner. Then we are going to draft the upper body first. So I have my pattern paper ready. As you can see, the first thing I'm going to do is to measure all the vertical points. So right now I'm going to place my measuring tape like this. Then I'm going to mark from my shoulder to my chest line, that is the upper chest line, then from the shoulder to the bust point, to the under bust point, to the waistline. Okay, so from the shoulder to the upper chest line is 5 inches. I mark that. Then from the shoulder to the bust point is 10 inches. I mark that as well. From the shoulder to the under bust point is 13.5 inches. I mark that. Then from the shoulder to the waistline that I am working with is 17 inches. For the front, it's 70 inches, and I mark that as well. So you're going to be using your own measurement or your client's measurements to mark all these vertical points. After marking the vertical point, the next thing I went on to do is to use my ruler to connect all these points in a horizontal line. And after I was done with that, I used my marker to label each of the lines so that I don't mistake them. I forgot to rule out the waistline, so I'm just using my ruler to do that now. Here on this chest line, I'm going to divide the round chest measurement I am working with by 4, and I mark it. The round chest measurement I am working with is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7 inches. So I mark the 7 inches on the chest line. Now on this point, I mark quarter of my chest line measurement. I'm going to place my measuring tape like this from the top, which is the shoulder line, and I'm going to come down by 8 inches for the armhole length measurement. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect this point in a horizontal line like this. Now I'm not going to rule this line in full. I'll just rule small of it, just for it to be enough to cover out the armhole. Now here on the armhole line, I'm simply going to mark quarter of my bust circumference measurement here. The bust circumference measurement I am working with is 37 inches. 37 divided by 4, I had 9.25, and that is exactly what I mark on this armhole line. Now I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect these 2 points together to create the armhole curve. Now the next thing we are going to do is to mark our dart. The nipple to nipple measurement I am working with is 8 inches, so I divided it by 2, which is 4. I mark that here on the bust point, on the under bust, and here on the waistline. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler, that is the straight part of my ruler, to connect these 3 points together on a straight line. Now here on the chest line, whatever you mark as your nipple to nipple measurement, you're going to add half an inch to it. So I mark 4 inches as my nipple to nipple measurement, then I added half an inch to it, making it 4.5. So I just mark the 4.5 here on the chest line. After that, I'm going to use my ruler to extend this dart line from the bust point all the way to the chest line like this. Now for the dart leg, on this side of the center front, I'm going to mark half an inch. Then here on the side front, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. Then after that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point to the waistline like this. I will do this for the center front, and I'll also do this for the side front. Now I'm going to connect this dart leg at the center front to the bust point like this, and I will also do the same thing to that of the side. I will simply place the curved part of the ruler like this, then I will connect this dart leg from the under bust to the bust point like this. Here on the chest line, we are going to be tightening the chest to avoid gaping. So on that dart line, I'm going to be marking half an inch on the center front, and I will also be marking half an inch on the side front. You can do 0.75 inches depending on how busty you are. Now I'm going to use my ruler to connect these points to the bust point like this. Now this dart that I took on the chest line, I'm going to measure it and replace it here on the chest line, that is this armhole side, and this is totally optional. You can choose to replace it or not. After that, I'm just going to use my curve ruler to redraw the armhole line again. Now this first armhole curve is no longer needed. The next thing we're going to be working on is to mark our body measurement. So the bust measurement, I've already marked that on the armhole line, so there is no need for me to mark it here on the bust point again. Now here on the waistline, I'll simply divide the round waist measurement that I am working with by 4 and I will mark it. The round waist measurement I am working with is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. So that's exactly what I marked here on the waistline. Now on this dart that I took, I measure it, then I replace it back here on the waistline. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect this point from the armhole line all the way down to the waistline. Now the next thing we're going to be working on is to mark our side dart. From the bust point here, I'm going to come down by 2 inches and I will make a mark. Now this 2 inches mark is the difference in measurement from your shoulder to your waistline in front and that of your shoulder to your waistline at the back. Now you're going to take this measurement, then you're going to minus the front from that of the back, and whatever figure you have, that is your side dart. After that, you're going to connect that line just like I have done. Now the next thing we are going to do is to mark the neckline measurement. So from the chest line, I'm going to come down by 2 inches, and this is totally optional. Like if you want your cleavage to show a bit, then you can come down lower than that, and if you don't want your cleavage to show, you can just come down by 1 inch or just maintain your neckline at that chest line, and that's totally fine. After that, you're just going to place the curved part of your ruler just the way you see me doing, and you're going to connect a curve line from this dart line all the way to this neck depth measurement, and that's pretty much about it. We are almost done drafting the front piece, but before we cut this out, we are simply just going to cut through the side dart and close it up again. So I'm just going to simply use my scissors to cut through the side dart like this, and after that I'm going to close it up just like this. Okay, so I'll be using my water glue to hold this down. If you don't have water glue, you can actually use your masking tape or even your office paint to do this. Okay, and guys, this is what I have after I was done using my water glue to close up the side dart. Now look at this. After I was done closing the side dart, you will discover that the side line is no longer equal, so you're going to make that equal by using your ruler to connect the point together, and that's pretty much about it. Now for this chest tightening, you're going to close it up, so you're going to close it up just the way you see me doing. Now look at this. After I was done closing the chest dart, you can see that the chest line is no longer equal. To correct that, I'm just going to use my curve ruler to connect from the neckline to the chest line like this. After you're done doing that, the next thing you're going to do is to cut it out. So guys, this is what I have the front pattern looking like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to just use my marker to label it so that I don't mix them up. I'm going to keep this aside, bring another pattern paper so we can work on the back pieces, and here is the fresh pattern paper that I'm going to use to draft the back pieces. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to mark the zipper allowance. I will be working with a 2 inches zipper allowance, so I'm just going to simply place my measuring tape like this. Then I will mark the 2 inches from top all the way down to the bottom like this. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect all those points on a straight line like this. Once we've gotten the zipper allowance, the next thing we are going to do is to mark the vertical points. So I will simply place the measuring tape on the starting line like this, then I'll come down to the waistline at the back. So from the shoulder to the waistline at the back is 15 inches. I marked that. After that, I came down by 5 inches for the upper chest line, then 10 inches for the bust point measurement, while 15 inches remain the waistline for the back. After that, I use my ruler to connect this point in a horizontal line. Here on the chest line, you're going to mark quarter of your round chest measurement here. The round chest measurement I am working with is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7, so I mark the 7 inches here, and on this point that I mark 7 inches, I'm going to place my measuring tape like this, and I will come down by 8 inches for the armhole line measurement. Okay, I'm just repeating all that I did when I was drafting the front pieces. After marking the armhole line measurement, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect it in a horizontal line like this. On this new horizontal line, you're simply going to divide your bust circumference measurement by 4 and mark it. Now the bust circumference measurement I am working with is 37. 37 divided by 4 is 9.25, so that's exactly what I marked here. After that, I'm just going to place the curved part of my ruler like this, and I'm going to connect a curved line from this point all the way to the upper chest line, okay, to create the armhole curve. Now to eliminate any form of zipper board, here on the waistline, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. Okay, after that, I will use my ruler to connect this point all the way to the upper chest line like this. It's now on this new line that you're going to be taking your other body measurements. So I'll simply place my measuring tape like this to mark the dart. The nipple to nipple measurement I am working with is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and that's exactly what I marked here. Now you're going to use the straight part of your ruler to connect this point all the way to the upper chest line like this. Now the next thing you're going to do is to mark the dart leg, and you're going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. Once you're done with that, you're going to place your ruler like this, and you're going to create your dart. Now let's mark the body measurements. I have already marked my bust circumference measurement on the chest line before I drew out the armhole curve. So here on the waistline, I'm going to mark 1/4 of the waist circumference measurement I am working with. Then this dart that I took on the waistline, I'm going to measure it and replace it. After that, I'm simply going to use my ruler to connect the side line, and that's pretty much about it. The bag doesn't have any side darts, so the next thing we're going to be working on is to mark our actual zipper allowance. The zipper allowance I am working with remains 2 inches, but this time I'm going to be marking the 2 inches from this zipper line that I drew. Okay, now I came down on the bust point and I marked my 2 inches, and I did the same thing on the waistline. I marked the 2 inches zipper allowance. After that, you're simply going to use your ruler to redraw the zipper allowance just the way you see me doing. For the back neck depth, I want the back to be a bit lower. You can actually leave it like this, but I want mine a little lower and I want it curvy. So I just place the curved part of my ruler and redraw the line. We are basically done with the drafting of the back piece. So now let's cut it out. So guys, these are all the patterns. Both the front and the back patterns are ready. So what I'm basically going to do off camera is to place this pattern on my fabric and cut it out. Remember, when I was drafting this pattern, I didn't add any sewing allowance to it. So when I'm transferring this pattern to the fabric, I'm going to be adding my sewing allowance on the main fabric. What I'm trying to do right now is to label all the patterns so that I don't mistake them later. So now I'm just going to simply take this pattern out, and like I told you earlier, I'm going to be transferring this pattern to the fabric. So the next thing we are going to be working on now is the skirt part of the dress. Okay, so guys, for the skirt part, I have already gone ahead to fold my pieces of fabric into 2. Okay, so we are going to be drafting the inner one, which is the bridal satin, and the skirt inside the lace is short. If you already know how to draft the basic skirt pattern, you can actually skip this part. This line that I just show you is going to serve as our starting line or our waistline. So on this waistline, I'm going to mark 1/4 of my waist circumference measurement. Then I will add 1 inch for the dart and another 2 inches for the sewing allowance. After you are done marking the waist measurement, the next thing is to mark the vertical measurement for the hip. So from the waist to the hip is 9 inches. I came down by that. Then the total length of the skirt on the inside is 20 inches. I marked that as well. So I'm going to repeat this measurement marking across on this other side as well. From the waistline, I came down by 9 inches for the hip measurement. Then the total length of the skirt on the inside is 20 inches, and I mark that as well. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect this point together in a horizontal line, and I also did the same thing for the length of the skirt as well. I connected it in a horizontal line. So right here is the waistline, here is the hip line, and here is the length of the skirt. Remember, I have already marked quarter of my waist circumference measurement. I added 1 inch that and 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, now for the hip measurement, I'm going to mark quarter of the hip circumference measurement I am working with right here. Then I added the extra 2 inches sewing allowance. Now on the length of the skirt, I remove 1 inch from what I marked on the hip measurement. The quarter of the hip circumference measurement I marked on the hip is 11, so I minus 1 from it, making it 10. So I marked 10 inches on this length here. Then I added extra 2 inches for the sewing allowance. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect all these points together just the way you see me doing. And after I am done connecting this point, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting this out, the next thing I am going to do is to mark my dart. So on this waistline here, I'm going to divide my nipple to nipple measurement by 2 and I'll mark it. After that, I'm just going to fold it up like this, then I will notch it. This is going to remind me where the dart is when I am sewing. And guys, that's pretty much about it. We are basically done drafting the front piece. So the next thing we are going to be working on now is the back piece. This is the pieces that I'm going to use to draft my back piece. So the first thing I'm going to do on this center back right here, I'm going to mark my zipper allowance, and I'll be working with a zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. So I mark this 1.5 inches from top all the way down to the bottom. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect this point I have marked on a straight line. After taking the zipper allowance, the next thing you're going to do is to simply place the front piece on the back piece like this. Make sure that everything is well arranged, and after that, go ahead and cut it out just the way you see me doing. Once you're done cutting it out, the next thing we're going to do is to simply reduce the zipper bulge. So on the waistline right here, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect a line all the way to the hip line like this, and after that, I'm just going to cut it out. And that's basically it. We are done drafting both the front and the back pieces. So what I'm just going to do right now is to notch the dart area on the waistline. So I just make a mark there, then I use my scissors to notch that. So guys, the next thing we are going to do is to place these pieces on the lace fabric and cut it out. Remember, the lace is longer while the inner is short. Okay, so but before I do that, I'm going to be sewing the dart on this piece because the lace is not going to have any dart. And there's another method you can do this also. It is the lace placement method, but I'm going to be sewing mine. So right here, I've already folded my lace into 2, okay, and I went on to measure the length of the lace because the lace is longer. So I went on to measure the length that I will be working with. After that, I'm just going to place my inner piece on it like this. I arrange it properly, and after that, I went on to cut it out, and that basically all. After cutting out the front part, the next thing is to repeat the same thing for the back pieces. So I'll simply fold the lace fabric for the back pieces into 2. Then I will measure the length that I am working with, and I'm going to use my chalk to draw the line. After that, I'm simply going to bring my back pieces. I'll place it on it like this, just the way you see me doing. And after that, I'm just going to cut this out, and that's pretty much about it. So guys, I'm basically done cutting it out. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to take this over to the sewing machine, and I'll arrange it just the way you see me doing. And after that, I'm just going to sew the 2 sides, and I will simply repeat the same process for the second piece as well. I'll place the inner on the lace fabric. Make sure that the right side of the inner is facing the wrong side of the lace so that the shining face of the bridal satin will show on the lace, and then you're going going to sew the both side, then you're going to repeat the same thing to the front piece as well. And that's basically it. I don't want this video too long, so we've come to the end of the video here. In my next video, we are going to be doing this sewing tutorial. For now, bye. I will see you all in my next one.